Okay, we're going to be doing lesson 10.3, but we're going to go ahead and focus on the day 2 notes, okay? All right, so what we're looking at here is they're going to ask us to find each product or just multiply. So when we look at this first problem here, we're going to multiply the square root of 6 to both parts. So we're just basically distributing or foiling is what's going on here. So when I multiply, now remember, keep insides with other insides. So in this case, this will be 6 times 3, which is 18, plus... Now, keeping in mind that there is a 1 on the outside here, so, oops, highlighter. So that is saying 1 times 5 on the outside, and then I've got the 6 and the 2 on the inside here. So 1 times 5 is 5, and then 6 times 2 is 12. Now, after you do that, you are now back to your addition subtraction rules, which we learned in the last lesson. So you still need to go ahead and break down and get 2 and 9 will go to 3 and 3. So the 3's will pair up and move out. So I will have 3 root 2. And then on this one, I'm going to break this down to 3 and 4. And then the 4's will go to 2 and 2. So now I pair these out and move it out. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I have the 3 left over. Now I can't add these together because I have a 2 and a 3. So this is your final answer right here. Okay, next problem. Okay, again, we're just going to distribute that 3 root 3 to both parts. Okay, keeping in mind that we are going to multiply the outside numbers together, and then we're going to multiply the inside numbers together. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, same thing here. Now we're going to multiply that 3 by the 4, and then we will take the 3 times the the 10 here. So when we do that, we're going to get 3 times 4 is 12, and then 3 times 10 is 30. Now again, if you can break down, you need to go ahead and break down. So I'm going to 2 and 9, 3 and 3. 3's will pair up and move out. So that'll give me an 18 on the outside, and then I have this little 2 left over on the inside. Okay, same thing with 30. So like 3 times 10, and then I know that this would go to 2 times 5. Now if I look at this, nothing will pair up and move out. Okay, so since nothing pairs up and moves out, you're just going to leave it as 12 root 30 because you can't clean it up. And that's going to be my final answer because, again, I can't put a square root of 2 together with a square root of 30. All right, now on this one, this is just like kind of like a binomial times a binomial. So you're going to go ahead and FOIL it or distribute the 3 to both parts. And so 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times negative root 5 will be negative 3 root 5. Again, keeping in mind, this is an outside number and that's an inside number, so we can't call it a 15. We got to keep the outside on the outside and the inside on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here with the square root of 5. I'm going to take it to both parts. So square root of 5 times 3 is 3 root 5. And then the square root of 5 times square root of 5 would be a negative square root of 25. Okay, so now in this case, the square root of 25 is just 5. So really it's just saying negative 5 there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So I'm going to put my 9 minus 5 together and get a 4. Okay, and then on the next part here, I'm going to go ahead and put the square root of 5's together. Okay, so negative 3 plus 3 cancels out and gives you a 0 root 5, or it's just 0. So your answer in this case is just going to be 4. All right, next guy. All right, so now we know that this squared means we're going to write it out twice, right? We know what that means. Write it out twice. So I've got 7 minus square root of 10 times 7 minus square root of 10. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply or FOIL it. So 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times root 10 is negative 7 root 10. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here now. I'm going to distribute this square root of negative 10 through. So I get negative 7 root 10. And then a negative times negative will be a positive square root of 100. Okay, now in this case, the square root of 100 is 10. So now I'm going to put together my 49 and 10 here. And when I do that, I'm going to get a 59. Oops. 59. And now I'm going to go ahead and put my square roots of 10 together. So negative 7 and negative 7 is negative 14 root 10. And that's going to be my answer. Okay, on the last problem here, All right, it's asking us to find the area, so we know that that's going to be length times width. So I'm going to take 4 root 6 minus 2 root 10, and I'm going to multiply that by the length, which is 5 root 3, plus 7 root 5. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to FOIL this part out here. So I'm going to take the 4 root 6 times the 5 root 3. So 4 times 5 on the outside is 20. Now on the inside, I've got 6 times 3, which is 18. I'm going to take 4 root 6 times the 7 root 5. So 4 times 7 is 28. The square root of 6 and the square root of 5 will give you the square root of 30. Okay, now I'm going to take the negative 2 root 10 to the 5 root 3. And 2 times 5 is 10. On the inside, I have 10 and 3, which is 30. And then I'm going to take negative 2 root 10 times the 7 root 5 and get negative 14 root 50. Okay, now if you can break things down, let's break things down. So I've got 2 and 9, 3 and 3. So 3's pair up and move out. So 3 times 20 would be 60 root 2. All right, and the square root of 30s, again, will break down, but nothing is going to pair up and move out here. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave 28 root 30 minus 10 root 30. All right, and then on the 50 here, I'm going to break this down to 2 and 25, and then this will go to 5 and 5. So the 5s pair up and move out, and I'm going to take 14 times 5 there and get negative 70. So negative 70 root 2, because this 2 is left over. All right, so now combine like terms, or in this case, combine like square roots. So I'm going to put the root 2's together. And so when I put those together, I get negative 10 root 2. And then I'm going to put together the square roots of 30 here. All right, so when I put together the square roots of 30, 28 minus 10 is going to be 18 root 30. Okay, and that's going to be my final answer. I do probably need to label though. Nope, they didn't give us any labels here, so that's going to be my area of this rectangle. And that concludes this notes.